Hello, hello, hello. Good to see you all. Come on in. Hi, Terry. Hi, Rhonda. Hello, Amber. Good to see you. Good to see you all. Not quite together here tonight, so we're going to switch gears a little bit from whenever I was here last. Friday? Is that when I was here? Yeah, Friday. Life is crazy sometimes. Sometimes it is more than crazy. I'm glad to see you all. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Hello, Peggy. Hi, Linda. Hello to you and Tim. Good to have you here. I'm just going to let you guys chat amongst yourselves for a minute while I get something ready here. So you guys enjoy chatting. It is rainy and it's just really rainy, which, by the way, we could use. So I am happy. I am happy about some rain. Maybe it'll cool it off a little bit. It has been exceedingly hot. I mean, exceedingly hot here. Yeah. So come on in and chat amongst yourselves just for a second. I just need to get something ready here that I wish was ready, but I've been busy today. I've been busy. Sorry, you guys. Hopefully it'll be worth waiting for. Hopefully it'll be worth it. I hope you're having a good day today. I really, really do. Saturday, we went to the football game here. And I'm going to tell you something. I learned the definition of hot. Woo! Woo! Let me tell you something. My son gives me a load of grief when I say, let me tell you. Every time I say that, he says, I'm going to tell you something. I don't know if it's because I always said that, or if it's because his dad said that, or probably both of us. Yeah, I'm gonna tell you, I'm gonna. Okay, let's see how this looks. Not bad. Sorry, as I said, I wish I'd had this ready beforehand, but I didn't. I've just been busy today. It's been a busy day. We're getting ready to go out of town. And you know what that does to you when you're getting ready to go somewhere? It's just, things get a little crazy. Kind of like life, huh? Okay, 85. I'm not sure what it is right now. Let's see what it is. It was 96 or 97 at the ball game. I'm going to tell you something. That is hot. When you're sitting in the sun, that is hot. It is hot. It's 80 right now, so it's much cooler. That's nice. I appreciate that. It was, man, it was hot. We had sunscreen on. I mean, we basically bathed in sunscreen. Bathed in it. I mean, we put sunscreen on every conceivable part that was exposed or could be exposed. And I mean, we were putting sunscreen on things that weren't going to even be exposed, just to try to prevent the sun from coming through. Elton went to a ball game, I guess it was last year, in Auburn, down in Alabama, with my granddaughter's husband and some other people that went to that game, and it was so hot. And Elton had on black jeans, and it scorched all of them right through their clothes. That's how hot that was. That's how much the sun was beating down. I'm like, no, I'll stay here with the grandbabies. Thank you very much. Whew, it was something. Anyway, okay, so hello, Connie. Let's see, who else is here? Did I miss anybody? Okay, I said hi to Linda. You're gel plating, Amber. That's great. You'd have done some great gel plate pulls. I've seen those. At least the ones that you've put on Instagram. Really nice. Connie Kane, I think I said hello to you. Drum roll, please. 70s here, no rain. Sorry, I'm just checking the chat just for a second. Hi, Tina. Good to see you. It's supposed to cool off a little bit now that we have the rain. I mean, but man, it was hot. Oh my goodness, it was hot. Whew, it was hot. Anyway, okay, so a couple things I'm going to show you. I'm going to deviate from what we were doing on Friday. I was going to do the little ATC cards. I have them set aside. They're in fabric. I set those aside. We're going to be going away for 2 weeks, and so I'm just taking those with me, and I'm going to work on them while I'm gone. So when I get back, we'll have a drawing then, okay? Hope that's okay with you guys, because that's how it's going to be. I'm having tea tonight. I need some tea. I need hot tea because I need to cool off. No. It's air conditioned in here. She's using 3 colors. Amber's using 3 colors. Quin Magenta, Light Blue Permanent, and Cad Yellow Medium Hue. Yeah, those are great colors. Those are great colors to use. Oh, what kind of paint are you using? Liquitex or golden, or what are you using? Well, on top of that, Rhonda, if you make a whole pot, you'll be tempted to drink more than 1 cup. That's the way that goes. Anyway, okay, so when I was talking to you on Friday, and as you saw, I put in the title for this, Everyone's Welcome, a Drama-Free Zone. My lips aren't matching my words, so that's pretty bad. Amber prefers Liquitex. Okay. Good. Oh, Amsterdam. I've never tried the Amsterdam paint, but I'm sure it's good. Okay. So we're going to just completely deviate from what we're going to take a hard left turn, because I just felt like we needed to. I just feel like we need to do something that's goofy and fun, right? Goofy and fun. So I'm going to show you, need to stop saying, I'm okay now? Okay, good. Amsterdam's pretty close to it. That's cool. Oops. Here we go. Okay. Hi, Leah. Good to see you. So I showed you or talked to you about the little needle case I was working on. I thought I'll just show you what it looks like in at this point. So you kind of have to ignore the stuff in the background. But this is the best angle for you to see the real colors of it. So this stitching on this one is totally finished now, I think. I'm ready to move forward with it, but I just thought I'd show you what it looked like. So I did a lot more stitching on it. This was a really, really good project. If you are dealing with emotional upheaval, which we all were from last Wednesday forward, if you were dealing with that at any point in your life, which I have, you know, life is just what it is, and periodically we get slapped around with stuff going on, whether it affects us directly or if it affects us in a global sense. And when that happens, if you will do something to just keep your hands moving, you can, it's amazing how much that will help you just keep moving through the situation. Whatever it is, it helps you move through the emotions. It just helps you keep, it keeps you from getting stuck is what I'm trying to say. It helps you move forward. So by moving your hands, which can be journaling, as in writing, journaling. Sometimes I can't do that. Most of the time I can, sometimes I can't. On the rare occasion I can't. Then I choose something else, such as stitching, slow stitching in this context, or Zen tangling or Zen doodling, any of those kinds of things, just drawing. I mean, there's all kinds of things that you can do. So anyway, so here is this, okay? Hello, Dana, good to see you. So here is the front cover, and I'm just going to show it to you just so you can see what it looks like. There's a ton of stitching on this. There's a ton of stitching on it because I had a lot of stuff that needed to go somewhere from my thought process and my emotions. It needed to go somewhere, so guess what? It went into the fabric. Okay? So lots of stitching. It completely transformed how the fabric feels. And this is what the inside looks like, which I really like the way the inside looks. And it's almost one of those things that I kind of don't want to cover it up, but I will, because that's the plan. But that's what the whole thing looks like. So you can just get a look, and it's all heavily stitched. Everything is stitched, so it's very textural. It's it has just a whole lot of stuff. Some patches on here, like this one, I thought I was done with, and this one too. And this morning I thought, nope, it's not done, so I just went right on top of it and added some more. This is the same thing. This one up here, I thought, yeah, this one's done. This little patch is done. Then I went right on top of it and added more. And then I started letting some things kind of overlap. And so when in doubt, stitch it out, draw it out, paste it out, paint it out, whatever, right? Yeah, Rhonda says, sometimes you're so mad you have no words. Man, I have been there. I have been there and I have done that. So there you go. I just thought I would show it to you just so you could see what it looked like. So from a different angle, different camera, the light's a little different over here. And there's the inside. It's amazing how it transforms the feeling of, yes, journal cover would be another thing to do with it. Absolutely. This is going to be a needle book, but that's journal cover is certainly a good thing to do with it. So anyway, so I'm just saying to you, if you have trouble with where do you put, as somebody was talking about not long ago, talking about what you do with big feelings, put them into a thing. Put them in, you don't even have to keep the thing. You can throw the thing away. when you do all the stitching on something like this, it totally transforms the way the fabric feels. It's a lot, this particular type of thing is a lot like the sashiko or sashiko stitching, where they use that to mend garments because they couldn't buy new garments, and so they would mend them with putting patches over fabric and then stitch them, and then they stitched the patches on so it would reinforce the fabric, it would patch it, and it would many times it would totally transform it as well. So it's kind of like that. So anyway, I just thought I'd show you that. Okay, all right, sorry my nose is a little, it's doing its thing tonight. We are into the time of year that I sometimes have problems with. Haven't had them for a long time, but sometimes, you know, if I get emotionally racked out, it affects my body. I know, can you imagine? And I used to have a lot of trouble with hay fever and allergies this time of year, and I don't seem to have that much anymore. Once in a while I get a little touch of it. Anyway. Okay, I'm drinking Bengal spice tea tonight. Okay, so gotta stop saying so. Several years ago, I did our Christmas cards for a long time. Several years ago, I did one that was a riff on Charlie, one of my Siamese cats. One of the sponsors, many of you will remember Charlie. And this is, I'll show you what I did. It's not, I looked all over. That's one of the reasons I was running late tonight, because I was looking all over trying to figure out if I put it on a canvas, if I did it in a journal. Where did I do it? I thought, and I'm like, I think I did it in a journal. You guys knew how many journals I have started. I'll go through this one so you can see. I'll just go through this journal so you can see what it is. And I have the cover of this, the actual cover of this journal is somewhere else. And I changed the cover on it, and some of you were here for that. When we redid this cover, it's actually, the real cover for this is actually a canvas cover. It's here somewhere, but I don't know where. Anyway, we did this. This was after we went to Australia and New Zealand, and I started doing the Aboriginal painting on this, and the dot painting, and I didn't finish it, but that doesn't mean that it won't get finished. It's just there, and this is something that, you know, I every journal I have has stuff stuck in it. This was when I started this journal in 2020, and this is a Dina Wakley journal, is what it is. And so this was started in 2020. This is where I couldn't even stamp the word right side up, so I just rolled with it. That's what you got to do. Let your imagination run wild. This is done with all kinds of mixed media techniques. There are different kinds of papers and surfaces in these journals that Dina did, Dina Wakley. And this is burlap. So there's burlap, there's canvas, there's, let's see, what else was there? Watercolor paper and something else. I don't know, drawing paper or something, and craft paper. That's what it was. And this was a particularly meaningful song to me by Idina Menzel, so I printed out the words and put them in there, pasted them in. So this is the other side of the burlap. And this is different. Some of the mandalas from my cards that I put in here, and I don't know what else I did on that. I'd have to go back and watch the videos. This one is canvas. This one is, and with an edge treatment on it because the canvas tends to shrink. And so that's what this is. So this was a background. This is like kind of like negative painting, a riff on negative painting. This was a whole bunch of, I don't know, napkins and stuff that I put in the background and then painted over the top of that. And then I drew this design using the ink dropper from a bottle of black ink. So I drew that and then went from there and added butterflies and stuff. I don't know what was going on. Usually when I do butterflies, there's something happening that I need to work out. This is more of the things from the Mandala, one of the books. It was using bits and pieces and designs and things and then adding to them. And this was using calendar pages. This is on the, I don't know, is that canvas? No, I think this is watercolor paper. This was using a bunch of stuff from a calendar. And so I cut out all, this is a whole bunch of different bits and pieces from calendar pages. Interestingly enough, I now live with 2 cats that look very similar to this. Yeah. So cute. So cute cats. One is named Blue and the other one is named Beckett. Blue, okay, Elton named Blue, black and white, short-haired cat. Named him Blue because he thinks he looks like blue cheese. I'm like, don't tell Elton, but I don't think if your blue cheese looks like it's white and black, you should throw it away. Just saying. Beckett, the other one, is a long-haired black and white, and he's beautiful. They're both beautiful cats. This harkens back to when, let's see, this was just before the lockdown. Same thing, edge treatment, pleated paper. This was all stuff that came from, flyer that came from the grocery store. I don't know. This is, who knows what I did. I think that's done with paint in a bottle. And this was, I don't know, whatever the treatment was of the mixed media treatment. More mandalas inside with a door. And then there's always goofy relatives to, in every journal I have, there is a gallery of goofy relatives. This one never got finished. This page we actually did during the toilet paper crisis. This was a whole bunch of stuff that I cut out from the flyer from the grocery store, and I even kept the toilet paper things, which were going to get glued in here. So I got so far with this and then, gave up. But that was during the the great toilet paper crisis. This was just putting a whole bunch of strips of paper on a page. This was when we were doing those Rolla Picasso. I mean, it is probably one of the ugliest, most horrible things I've ever done, but there it is. Key to Balance. This image came from a poster that I had in my office at the other house. This was a page about my dad. The Earth Speaks in Flowers. And so did my dad. This was a tag that I did. It's edged in zipper tape. This is a zipper. So, I don't know if you can see that. Let's see if I can zoom in enough. There you go. Now you can see it. See, that's zipper. That's leftover zipper that I edged the tag and put on there. This was a picture of my dad, a picture of some of his flowers. This was some other plants, so I just collaged all those things together and did that. This is more of the burlap. and these are flowers done from corrugated paper. And now we are at the images that I did, a riff, caricatures of the cats. Okay, so this was Chance, and this was Nothing. This just had an edge treatment on it. And this was one of my images of phoenixes. I do like to, the phoenix is a very powerful image in my world. And so this was one of those. And this is Charlie. So this was a riff on caricature of Charlie Boy, who was a chocolate point Siamese. Chance over here was a blue point. So blue point and chocolate point. And then I took the image of Charlie, who was here, and turned him into a Christmas card. Okay? And so I thought we would do something similar. And I'm going to use one of our dogs. But I've already done Muppet, and so I'm going to do one. This is another edge treatment. These are just stuff slapped in here. So sometimes when I don't know what to do with stuff, I just stick it in a journal. This was a playing around with the Aboriginal dot painting. So sometimes I just stick things in the journal. I also I took out one of the signatures in here because the book was getting too big. Anyway, so this is the same cat as this, okay? So I thought we would take a dog and we would make a dog. Hey, Brenda. You have that Christmas card? Oh, that's neat. So I thought I would do something similar, but out of one of our dogs. So here we go. We're going to move this back here where I can still see it. This is my pattern that I drew, and this is an 8x8 canvas. I thought this is a gesso board canvas, so it's a smooth surface, and so I thought we might use this and do an image on here like so, because the cards that I use are square, and so I thought, well, we might do an image kind of like this. Okay? Alright, so that's kind of where my thought process is going. And so I have looked around and I came up with this image. This is what I was working on. Oop, you guys cannot see that. Alright, let me readjust here. My lights are a little too bright tonight for this. So let's readjust so you can see. Alright, so this is the dog that I'm going to do. This looks like our Clarence, more or less. It's not perfect, but you know, this doesn't look exactly like Charlie did either, so there you go. And so we may play around with this a little bit more. I probably will regret doing this straight on a canvas board, but you know what? We're going for it. We're just going for it. And I'm going to just add some body here. Clarence was a border collie, and he was the first of the 3 dogs that we lost. And so I thought we should put Clarence on a Christmas card. So what I'm going to do here is, maybe I'll take it off of this one. Well, maybe we'll take it off instead of trying to do it on the white. We may trace it off of this, because I think I'll use a similar we'll see what happens here. Let's put this. Okay. Let's just put in here kind of the idea of the Christmas stocking. I haven't sent out Christmas cards for a long time. I mean, for like several years, for pretty, reasons that I'm sure most of you understand. Yeah, life was kind of crazy there for a long time. And I think what we may do is actually if I don't like what I end up with, if I don't like it, I will paint over it and do it again. So I think that we're going to do that. And let this Christmas hat just kind of perch on top of his head, just like it's just hanging on top of his head. And then we may turn this into a jingle bell instead of a pom-pom. Because they do some funny, you can do some funny stuff, make a jingle bell. I don't know, it could turn into a pom-pom. And then we might we had a scarf on Charlie, and I think I like that idea, so we may just do something similar. Let's go back to this, and under here, under his neck, so I'm using what I have for inspiration. And then we'll kind of see where it goes from there. Yeah, I just read what Amber said. That one of her favorite things that I say is she catches herself saying it too. If it doesn't work out, we'll just always wish it did. That is so. That is one of my favorite sayings. Okay, so here is our ratty sketch. Here's our ratty sketch, and I think it's got some possibilities, and I think we can make it work. I just need to have it work on a square canvas, and I think a square format is nice. Although the one on the Charlie one that I did this in a 8x10 journal. So there's a lot more of him in that painting than there is in the actual Christmas card. Alright, so we're going to stick this on here. Well, you can always try it. You can always try it with a wish. With a wish and a prayer. Right? Try it with a wish and a prayer. Alright, I'm going to put that on there. That should hold it kind of in place. And I need some graphite paper. You guys, I have so many packages of graphite paper at this point because I couldn't find. I knew I had it. Graphite transfer paper. I knew I had it, and I thought, well, I'll surely find it here somewhere. Nope, didn't find it. You know, when you find something that you've lost or that you've hidden from yourself, or in my case, I had put it in the special organizational place. You know what happens? Hey, Mickey. He was a wonderful dog. You know when you find it? Right after you go to the store and you buy a new package. I have so much graphite paper right now that I don't need to buy graphite paper probably ever again in my life. Here, I'll show you the actual pictures of clearance so you can see what we're working from. So here he is. None of these were poses that I wanted to use, but it's going to give us color. And so there he is. This one I cut off his nose accidentally when I took the picture, and this one was pretty far away, so I zoomed in on it. But isn't he cute? He's a big old border collie too, let me tell you. He's a big boy. He was a big boy. There's another better picture of him. Big old boy. Yeah, great dog. Lived to be over 13. All right, let's see if we can make this. All right, let's see if this works. This is graphite paper from Michael's. If it doesn't work, we have choices, people. We have choices. This doesn't seem like it's a real great transfer. It doesn't seem like it transfers very easily. Let's find out. Oh, it's going to be fine. Okay, that's good. So we're going to just make this down here. I don't know if it's going to be a pom-pom or what it's going to, or if it's going to be a jingle bell. I don't know what it's going to be. So, and then we're going to just transfer the lines. I'm looking for my original line drawing here. Okay, so I don't really need that line. Okay, so we're not going to need that one. So anyway, the football game. Holy moly, was that hot. Oh my goodness, it was hot. Whew. Let me tell you, it was so hot. I'm just gonna kind of get the inside of his little ear there. At one point in the game, I made it to almost halftime, and I had to actually get up. It's the first time I've had to get up and leave the game because the atmosphere had, I thought, if I don't get out of here and get into some cool, because they moved the game from 3 o'clock in the afternoon to, I'm just going to kind of just give it a roughly look there. This is just this transfer paper, although it's brand new, it's not transferring as well as I'd like it to, so I'm going to switch to a different kind. Sometimes, you know, this is when it's handy to have different kinds. Yep. Anyway. Oh, is this white? Oh, this is white. That's not going to work. Okay. Alright, we're going to go. Told you I had a lot of kinds of transfer paper, graphite. So we're going to go to a different one that I've used before that surely will work. Honest to Pete. The person should not have as much trouble transferring a pattern as I seem to be having here. Anyway. Hot. You know, so hot. So anyway, I got up and left the game. And I went out back into the stadium. We were on the east side of the stadium. And the sun, they changed the game from 3 o'clock start time to noon, because that was supposed to help. And it probably did. It probably did help. But let me tell you something. It was some kind of hot. So I went out there, and with about, I'd say probably 150 other people were sitting in the shade inside the stadium, like where you buy food and stuff. That's where I was. And I was sitting in there, and they had brought in giant things of water for people. I mean, huge, like cooler type thing of water. And people were refilling water bottles. Normally they sell water at the stadium. And so I'm like, and they also let us bring sealed water bottles into the stadium. I've never seen them do that before. So not only could you bring water bottles into the stadium, but you could refill them at their water stations. And I mean, there were people, they were taking people out on stretchers. I mean, it was something else. There weren't a lot, but there were some people that were going out on stretchers. Okay, so I think we got that. Now we're going to get this suggestion of a scarf. And we made it until about halfway through the 4th quarter. And then we finally all decided that we were done, and that we were going to have to give it up and call it a day. We were wringing wet. I mean, we were absolutely saturated. We were so wet, and yeah, it was pretty crazy. All right, I'm going to go over a little bit of this with my pencil, just so I see it a little bit more, so you guys can also see it a little bit more. And here's the white fluff on the hat. And we're going to let the ear hang out. At least that's my thought at the moment. Let the ear hang out. And just let that hat kind of perch over the top of the head. It's kind of my thought. Anyway, we'll find out. We'll find out. Okay. And then we'll kind of go from there, and we'll see what happens with this, okay? And who did not go to the shade, says Elton Faye. He wants a gold star, you guys. He wants a flippin' gold star because he didn't go to the shade. Not that he probably shouldn't have gone and taken a break. But he gets a gold star because he didn't go to the shade, okay? You didn't go. So, Elton, congratulations. We're all very proud of you because you didn't go to the shade, okay? Yes. Anyway. You're right, Mickey. We certainly were blessed for 13 years. I didn't know him all 13 years, but I knew old Clarence for a long time. And we still miss him because he would greet us, always greet us when we got home. He would come, he was the first one to stick his head in the car door. As soon as you open the car door, he's sticking his head in there and, you know, giving you a big old slurp or wagging his big, he just put his big old head in your lap. He was a big male, big guy. Anyway. Leah felt faint loading Costco in her car. I believe it. Yeah. He is true He-Man. That's right. You notice he can figure out how to do all caps in the chat. What he couldn't figure out was how not to put his real name in the chat. Just saying. That's all. That's all I have to say. All right. I don't know if we'll paint him the colors that he is. I kind of think we might, but let's put a background in just so we can see the dog. Let's do that. This may work out well tonight. It may not, but we're going to go for it. So I need a palette. And he is kind of red, kind of burnt sienna colors. And so I don't know what in the world this was from, but we're going to throw it away. And so I think we may do his background in turquoises. Do I like iced tea? It's okay. It's not my chosen drink, but it's okay. Yeah. Elton loves iced tea, however. He's an iced tea drinker. All right, so we're going to do some shades of turquoise and, yes, the other blue, manganese hue. So let me get those. And I'm going to get some water. I'll be right back. Elton is supposed to be working instead of yakking at me. Yeah, he's supposed to be working. But no, he's not working. He's here talking to us. Yep. All right. We're just going to get some paintbrushes and... Sorry, my things keep blipping. Okay. So I have, well, that was ultramarine blue. I got the wrong blue, sorry. Alright, we may use a little ultramarine blue just because I picked it up. So let's take a look at this. Let me put some paint on this palette. And I'm painting on an angled surface, so it, yeah, that's going to drive everybody nuts. That's going to drive us even nuttier. Alright, let's go out like that. Okay. So the colors that I'm going to get out here are, we'll do a little ultramarine blue. See if this has a thing on it. Nope. Alright, these are golden fluid acrylics. I'm going to get out some ultramarine blue. I'm going to get out some manganese blue hue. The ultramarine blue is a little more opaque than the manganese blue hue according to their labeling. And I'm going to put out some white just because it's good to have white. And this white is titanium. It's pretty opaque. And then I'm going to get some cobalt teal, which is the flat. And I can't say that I have worked with the flat paint before, so we're going to find out if we like it. Okay, so let's get a paintbrush. I'm just going to scoop this paint off. And a paper towel. Okay, alright. I'm going to stick this palette over here. And let's put our dog back in here, and let's zoom in so maybe you can see what I'm doing. Okay, perspective is going to be off for you guys because I'm on an angled surface, but I think you'd rather see what I'm doing than not. So alright, I'm just going to put some of the cobalt teal. I'm just going to give this whole thing a coat. And this is gesso board. It's gesso board on a frame. And so we're just going to paint it. And we're going to let this see what it does. We're going to let it develop as we go. And I'm just going to put it in the background so I can just kind of see the dog. That's the main thing I want to do, is just kind of get the shape. And I am the first one to tell you that I am not the world's best acrylic painter. This is not what I learned to paint. I learned to paint in oil. So we're just going to slap in the background. So I'm using a combination of those three blues that I just told you. Acrylic paint is funny. You have a certain working time, and then when it starts getting sticky, you got to stop and you got to let it do its thing. You got to let it dry, and then you got to go for additional coats of paint. If you play with it too much, you just end up taking the paint right back off. It will start balling up and taking the paint off the surface. Not good. If you have any questions, put them in all caps in the chat. This is going to be not a realistic painting of Clarence. This is going to be a kind of the same idea as the ones I did in the journal. Just kind of fun caricature. They might be similar colors, they might not. So we're just going to keep okay, so we kind of got this one side kind of base coated in there, so let's turn him around. It looks like you guys are all still here, but there sure isn't much chatter going on in the chat. I hope you're doing okay out there in the chat. I have not worked with this flat acrylic paint. I have heard other people who have worked with it who just love it. Have any of you in the audience worked with this acrylic paint, the flat? This one, Golden So Flat. If you have, I'd be interested in what your opinion is. One of the things I like about acrylic paint is that it does dry quickly, but also I like working from light to dark. Watercolor I find frustrating, and if I'm trying to do something that's even semi-realistic, I find watercolor frustrating because you got to go, or I don't mind going dark to light. I like to go any direction I want to go, whether it's dark to light, light to dark. I want to have choices, and with watercolor you got to go light to dark. I'm not so good at being told what to do. I know that someone who's watching in the audience that I'm married to would agree with that. That is very true. It is incredibly true that I don't like to be told what to do. Once in a while, someone who shall remain nameless likes to give me a hint about said behaviors, and I'm like, yep, nope. That's when I just have to shut up and listen, because sometimes If I don't shut up and listen, I'm going to regret what's going to roll out of my mouth next. And also, oftentimes you'll notice I'm painting upside down. That is, I paint in whatever direction it's the most comfortable for my hand. Barb, have you ever tried tea from this site, Adagio Tea? I have not. Adagio Tea. I've never heard of that. Online site? Adagio Tea. Not familiar with that. So I'm just picking up color and just blending between the two, the blues, so that I can make the blues all kind of go together, work together here and there. And I do have a ceiling fan going, which I'm sure you can kind of tell that. Ceiling fan is drying my paint, which is good. It's also kind of like, whew, that is drying the paint quick right there. I will, I'll have to take a look at that. Not something I'm familiar with. Okay, so we're just gonna, all I'm trying to do is just get a background in here that is relatively streak free. I don't mind having texture in the background, but I'd kind of like for the background not to have a bunch of, see, there's, okay, see this? Let me show you this. See that right there? That is where the paint had dried, and so it was just painted my surface. Oh well. So it was dried enough that it was trying to lift off the underneath. When that happens, you just have to stop and leave it alone. Don't mess with it any longer. I am really pushing the edge here. Okay, so we got to leave it alone. Okay? All right. Background. Background base coated in, yes. All right. I'm going to should have had another container of water in here. I'm going to quickly go, just getting some of the blue out of my brush at the moment. I'm going to go get some fresh water because I'm going to use some white. And I don't really want to tint it blue too much, although it really wouldn't hurt it. It wouldn't hurt it that much. Never mind. We'll just keep going. How about that? We'll just keep going. I'm going to go to a different brush. Aw, thank you. Look at this. Look at this service with a smile. With a heart on it. Thank you, darling. You can take that out. Just put it in the kitchen. Thank you. That was nice.
Real fans stay for the whole game.
Wait. Come here. Come here.
Real fans stay for the whole game, even when it's 102 degrees.
Bye.
Bye.
It's all right. If it's got a little blue tint, it won't hurt anything. All I'm going to do... Elton wins tonight. He brought me a coffee. That was very kind. Okay. So we're just going to use some of this. All I'm going to do here at this point is just base coat in. So we're going to base coat the white fluff. So it's not even going to look like much is going on. I'm just slapping that paint in there. Okay, just slapping in some paint. And as I said, this is not going to be a portrait, a real portrait of Clarence, any more than that was a real portrait of Charlie that we did. I'm putting the white paint in here, just patting it in, and then I'm going to get a little bit of black. Okay, let me get a little bit of black. Here, we'll use some shading gray. Now, shading gray I happen to have in golden high flow, so I have it in the golden high flow. So I'm going to have to be a little careful. I've got my palette sitting at an angle at the moment, so I'm going to have to put my palette down flat. Because, and I know you can't see the palette, but I figured you'd rather see the painting, because the shading or the high flow acrylic, do you see that? See, that is really runny. So I'm just going to get a hold of a little bit of this shading gray rather than get a hold of black, and we're going to try and keep my hand out of the background. I'm just going to pat in a little bit of the gray here around the edges. Where the hat would kind of slouch down over his head, and then kind of at the edges where it would go around his head, like so, like this. Okay, so we've got a little bit of that. I'm gonna clean off my brush, not going into water. I'm just gonna get more white on my brush. So I just got white, and I'm gonna pat and blend this. And often what you have to do is go back and forth until you finally get the color and the shading and so forth that you really want. You don't want any sharp edges. That we don't want. we've talked about that before, that you don't want shadows. Shadows don't hang out in stripes or sharp edges. So I gotta blend out the stripiness. I can always come back and put more shading in later. And it's not uncommon for me to go back and forth and put in shading a whole bunch of times and blend it out, go back and put it back again, blend it out again. It's a layering thing. And also I want to keep the texture of kind of a fake fur kind of texture going in here. So I'm not trying to smooth it out entirely. I'm just trying to pat the color and blend that color. Okay. All right. So we kind of got the rim, the fluff, the white fluff on his little hat brim. Okay, the reason I'm starting with white is because now that can sit there and dry. And the reason I start with white is so that it, sometimes if you're not careful, you'll end up, if you don't start with white first, sometimes if the paint around it, like the red of a hat, if you come too close to that, putting white in after you've added red, sometimes what that does is turns the white fluff pink. That used to happen a lot with oil paint, because white and red, very slow drying colors, and so you had to always go in with the white first. And I just follow that rule, especially when I'm pushing the colors. You know, I might not be totally dry with the white, or red might not be totally dry. I'm just putting in the whites of the eyes here for the same reason. I just find it good policy to put the whites in first. Now, if you were doing this with watercolor, which I'm not, but if you were, you're going to ideally leave the white of the paper. I'm not a good watercolorist. I play with watercolor. I make goofy family relatives galleries. Okay, so we've got the whites of his eyes. You can see the white kind of shining there. Yep, Rhonda, I hear ya. I hear ya. All right, so let's get a brown. And I'm gonna do Nickel Gold. This color is no longer made, but they make some colors that are similar. So I'm going to use a little bit of that and a little bit of Burn Umber Light. Oop. And I dripped a little bit, but that's all right. Okay, let me take a quick look at. Yeah, his eyes were pretty much this Nicolazo gold color. So I'll make his eyes kinda sorta realistic. Let's paint in the iris. This is a great color. I'm kind of painting over the edges of my pupil. Okay, so we're gonna base coat that. It's a good thing Dorothy's not here. Dorothy gets all freaked out if we don't get the eyes in. Dorothy, our Dorothy just gets all freaked out about that. She must be snoozing away tonight. Okay, this drawing is pretty much face forward. So in the perfect world, these eyes are going to be about the same size. So let's turn them around and see if we can. It's easier to get them to be the same size. They don't have to be exactly the same shape. I mean, we're gonna give it our best shot, but you know what? It may or may not be exactly the same. Okay, I'm gonna go back to this other one a little bit. So I'm gonna be here on Friday this week, Friday afternoon at 2 p.m. Eastern. And then I will not be back until, I'll look at my calendar here in just a second. All right. He's got one eye that's really round and one eye that's kind of not. So let's see if we can round this one out just a little bit more. It's not too bad. Not too bad. Okay. We're going to let those sit for a minute. Let me look at my calendar so I can tell you exactly when I'm going to be gone, when I'll be back. Okay. So I will be here this Friday, which is the 19th. Then I will not be back here until possibly the 6th. That's Monday, the 6th of October, possibly that day. But for sure, I'll be here on the 10th. Okay? So, don't hold me to it about whatever I just said. Okay? Hello, Tia. Good to see you. Okay. I need some black. This time I gotta have black. Alright, where's my black? Carbon black. That'll do. Oh. Hang on just a second. I lost my chat. There we go. Okay. You're marking your calendar? Okay, good, Tia. Okay, so I'm using carbon black because it's real black. Yeah, and you know what? You can always find some place or somebody that you can do something for, you know. Sometimes it's not easy. I get it. Sometimes it's not. Yeah, but anyway. Okay, so let's go back. All right, so here is our little eyes. I'm going to take a little bit of this dark brown, which is light. What is it? Light umber. So I use nickel azo gold. This is burnt umber light. So I'm going to use a little bit of that, and let's hope these eyes are dry enough. Does not matter up there at the top of the eyes, because we're going to put the pupil in there, but all right, then I'm going to pick up a little bit of the nickel azo gold and just blend where those two colors meet. Okay. Okay, background's dry now. That's good. Okay, so I'm gonna alright, we're gonna stop messing with that eye, Barb. Do the same thing over here. Put the dark, the brown. I don't know whether you can see that. Hopefully you can see it. I know this is fiddly stuff and it's a little hard to see, but sometimes people like to see the eyes. And I do too, because once the eyes are in, then the animal or the person watches you paint the rest of them. Okay, let's put a little bit more of the nickel azo down here. Okay, and now let's go to the black, which is carbon black. This is real black. And put in a nice dark pupil. And actually a fairly big pupil. If I wasn't trying to do this on camera, I'd have my nose right down on the surface of the painting. And that's okay. We can always come in and do some truing up of the shape after a bit, but we're just going to get it started. And we're going to try to get the pupils to be the same size. As much as possible. And by turning something upside down, that's when you can more closely, your brain will kind of help you gauge whether things are the same size. Okay, not bad, not bad, not bad. Okay. I do want to put a highlight in the bottom of his eye, just a little bit. So I'm going to use a little bit of Diary Light Yellow. Diary Light. D-I-A-R-Y. Lide. L-I-D-E. Diary Light. So we're going to use a little bit of that and put a little bit of the Nickel Azo Gold with it. Let's see if we can highlight the bottom center of the iris. That's better. So we get his eyes, the one on the, this one is better than that one, so we're going to go for it again over here. And then sometimes you have to stop and wait and let things dry. And then go for it again. Good enough. Okay. And now, just because I can't stand it unless he's actually looking at me, I'm going to use a tiny brush. I'm going to pick up some white. And I'm going to give him a sparkle dot on the same side of both eyes where the pupil meets the iris. Okay, so now he's going to watch us paint him. Okay, now he's going to watch us. And now I'm okay, because now I know that I gotta pay attention here because Clarence is watching us. Yes, he is. Okay. Let's, just for the sake of, because I got the paint out, let's put a white fluff over here. I can always change it to a jingle bell later, but let's put some white fluff here instead for the moment. Like a white pom-pom. If I decide to make it a bell later, I'll do that, but I'm kind of feeling like it needs a white pom-pom. I don't know why, just do. Okay, so we got some white pom-pom fluff going on. I'm going to pick up a little bit of the shading gray and shade the top part of this where it goes into the meets the hanging down part of the hat. Probably could go a little more than that. Okay, so that gives us the beginning of that. And the hat's looking okay to me. I'm all right with that. Let's put a red hat on him, shall we? What color do you think we should use? Think we should do a red hat? Seems like that's kind of what we should do, is have a red hat. Shall we? Let's do it. We'll see if my red paint's still good. That's one of the joys I have of acrylic paint, is that sometimes they go bad on me. Yeah, it's not too bad. It's not great, but it's not too bad. So let's paint from the lid. The color I'm using, I need to order another bottle of this, is Lumiere Crimson. Alright, so let's paint from the lid, which is not usually what I do, but it's what I'm doing here tonight. Okay. So we're going to go straight from the cap. Alright, now we got to make sure that we know where our hat is. Have a hair. Okay. I don't want to keep the white fluff. I want to keep the white fluff kind of fluffy. So I'm not going to go with the straight line up there. I'm going to let it stay kind of floofy and fluffy, and kind of, my goal is to make it look kind of velvety. And you can do that by not having by leaving some of the strokes of paint kind of soft, not all smoothed out. The older the paint gets, the faster it's going to dry, the quicker you have to get it on your surface. And you run the risk always of making that one fatal application of paint, one application too much, and you dig a hole in the paint. You don't want to do that. So while I'm here, I'm going to grab some of the burnt umber. I'm going to put some of this on the edge. Go back to the red. And bounce between the two, where the two colors meet. And I just play with this kind of stuff until I get it the way I like it. It will help to make the hat three-dimensional instead of flat, instead of two-dimensional. If you put a little bit of shading over at the edge, and then try not to allow any stripes of color to form. Okay. All right. Let's put a little bit of the burnt umber where the fluff meets the hat. So I'm just kind of patting a little bit of that in. That was a little heavy. Okay, right back to the red. Okay, so we have a little bit of the red fluff kind of from the velvet kind of spilling down on the hat a little bit. That's okay. That's all right. Okay, let's put the rest of the hat in. The red that I'm using is Lumiere, and it's Crimson 544. It's Lumiere by Jacquard. Red is a hard color to get. Christmas red is one of the hardest reds. As many Santas as I've painted over the years, it is probably, I have tried so many reds, and somebody told me one time to get this one and try it, and she was right. Of course, it was several years before I did that because I was stubborn. Okay, I'm going to leave a little crack in the paint between the part of the hat that's on his head and the part of the hat that is the floppy over part. And this bottle of crimson, has seen better days. Okay, let's see if we can get this smoothed out up here a little bit. Doesn't have to be super smooth, but it needs to be a little smoother than I've got it. Talking and painting, not my strongest suit. And trying to keep my hand out of anything that's kind of still a little bit wet. You'll notice that I use my little finger as a bridge, and that just helps me to steady the paintbrush. Okay, quickly put in some of the burnt umber light. Come on now. There we go. The shading goes, you guys probably all know this, but shading goes on the part that goes underneath or that curves around behind. All right, back to the red. Okay, good enough, good enough. All right, so his little hat's kind of getting a little dimension on it, and then we have another little piece of the hat. I gotta clean out my paintbrush first, pick up fresh paint. When your paint starts gooping on your brush, you got to clean that out. Alright, get fresh paint. And let's put this right there. I realize I'm spending a lot of time painting on this upside down. However, you got to paint at whatever angle works for you. I'm also painting with an angled brush, and I'm painting with the longer part of the angle. I will come back and outline a lot of this because it needs to be more cartoon-like. I need a little bit more of the burnt umber. So I will come back and use probably outline it later when it's all dry. Okay, we're going to put this right up next to the ear. And back to the red. And blend that in. You can always go to smaller paintbrushes than I use. I was taught back in the days of oil painting to use the biggest brushes I possibly could, because you got a smoother effect, a smoother application of paint. And I got used to that, and I really like the using the biggest brushes I can use. Okay, we got a hole between the hat and the background, and that's not good. You need to get all the background cleaned up so the background doesn't show. Okay. All right, pretty good. I think his hat is looking okay at this point. So it looks like he's got a hat with white fluff, and he's got a white pom-pom, and he's got eyeballs that are watching us. So I think we're good. All right, maybe we'll do the scarf while we're down here. Seems like I mean, we could do a red scarf, but seems like we should do a different color scarf. What do you think? What do you guys think? What color scarf do you think we should do? I'll wait for you to tell me. I'm going to cap my red paint so it doesn't get any drier than it is. What color do you think? You think green? I was kind of thinking green. There he is from afar. He looks ghostly. But he's got a red hat. Green. Okay. Let me see what I got in the greens. Woo! Sorry, you guys. Green. Let's see. We have green gold. I was going to use citron green. I'm going to use green gold. Okay. Maybe a strip. How about a stripe? How about a stripe? I think that's what you meant. Let's use green gold, which is golden fluid acrylic, green gold. All right, so let's move up this way. All right, let's, we're going to base coat it in. The stripes will come in a little bit. So we're going to put, this is the tie, the long end of the scarf that hangs over. And because this is square canvas, we're not going to be able to see the fringe on this one. But that doesn't mean this is super transparent. It's okay. It'll kind of, if I quit screwing around with it, it'll be all right. Okay, so now we're gonna see if we can paint this. You gotta paint in sections. At least I do. because if I paint it in pieces, then I keep my pattern or my drawing the way that I want it to be. Otherwise, sometimes I can lose what my intention is. Okay, so I've got a little bit of a little more happening here than I want, so I'm going to clean this up. Okay, what I'm trying to do is to work with the curve This is just too transparent a color. I'm gonna have to work with this one for a little bit here. It's gonna need some more paint on it. This is super transparent. All right, that's okay. We'll just work with it. Okay, so we're just gonna kind of make an uneven edge here. Amber's got to paint some more papers. Darn the luck. We're just going to make an uneven edge because this is going to be kind of suggestion of fur down here. He had long fur. The bottom edge is going to be smoother. This color is just not cooperating very well. And the paint's in good shape. It's just some reaction taking place between the gesso board and this particular color. At least that's what I'm guessing it is. Who knows? Who knows? Alright, let's see if we can get this edge here. I'm trying to watch in the monitor to see what you guys are seeing. Using the paint, the stroke of the paint, to try to achieve kind of a rounded, I don't know that you can even see that, but kind of a rounded effect. Don't know that you can see that. Alright, let's put this. Okay. Not too bad. Okay. Don't you like how I talk to myself? Okay, okay. I do the same thing. If you're not here, I talk to myself exactly the same way. All right. We're gonna let that green set up and see if we can come over it with another color. Let me look at what other greens I have. Sorry, my chat. If I don't time it exactly right, my chat goes away and I have to stop and bring it back. I don't have any great greens in that color, in that paint. I don't know if this paint's any good anymore. We're gonna see. Bye, Amber. Good to see you. Thanks for being here. All right, this is Tim Holtz paint. We're gonna see what this does. As in the words of Amber, quoting me, if it doesn't work out, we'll always wish it did. What I'm trying to do here is to get coverage on the canvas, and that's a little better. Yeah. All right, let's go for it over here. And I'll come back after this is fully dried. I will stripe the scarf, and after it's fully striped and fully dried, then I will shade the scarf. The reason I do it that way is so that the stripes if you don't do it that way, the stripes will look like they're sitting on top of the scarf instead of a part of the scarf. But this is a little more opaque color. So the green gold is actually behaving like a base coat. So I'm just dipping into the bottle. I'm just dipping the paintbrush in the bottle and then blending it on my palette a little bit. So I'm just holding it in my hand, and this is Twisted Citron. So intuitively, you might think that the very last thing you want to do is the stripes, but that is not what I will do. I will put the stripes on, and then I will shade the scarf. Okay, so I think that is going to work. That green's going to work. Ooh, gel-plated tissue with my name on it. Yay! That is great. I will always take I will always take that. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to stop for tonight. Let me move all this paint because some of this is still pretty wet and runny, so I'm just going to put it somewhere where maybe I won't step in it or stick my foot in it or what have you. And then let's go to this view so you can see what we have going on. Okay, so we have a background started. I think we're going to do some work on the background. I would like the background to be a little less in your face, and so we'll do something else. I'd like to do some stencil work in the background. I do like a good spot in the background. I do. Like what we used over here on our dear Charlie. You can see what we did on Charlie over here. Look at the background. You see the spots in the background? And then we actually put spots on his body. I don't know that we'll spot his Clarence's body. I think we'll go a little bit more, and we won't make him a blue dog. We'll make him a little more realistic than this one of Charlie was, but there we go. So there's the starting of our Charlie, or our Clarence. And then here is our Charlie that we did, and the card that we did was about this much, I think, because we had to crop it down to get it to be square. He could be an orange dog. Well, he is kind of a reddish orange, so yeah, he's kind of that. Okay, so let's let paint dry. And you don't need to watch paint dry because it's no fun to watch paint dry. Although I used to do all the Santa Clauses and stuff late at night. That's where when I very first started painting or doing streams, I would do them late at night. I don't think Elton would appreciate that. I think he would come and fuss at me big time if I did that. Anyway, we're gonna let this all kind of settle for a little bit. Let me think about it, and yeah, we'll see what happens. It may be all done by the time you come back. Then again, it might not be. I don't know. All right, I will be back Friday at 2 p.m. Eastern. Until then, please be kind, and please do something nice for somebody else. We all really need to do that right now. We need to give to other people. We need to do for other people, because it just kind of helps, you know? All right. Remember, if you are tempted to cut somebody off in traffic or fuss at somebody who is not moving as fast as you think they should, or any of that kind of stuff, remember that person, you never know what people are going through, right? So we all need to put ourselves in the shoes of other people and be kind, okay? Do something nice for somebody else, like I said. You'll be glad you did. And I will see you on Friday, 2 p.m. Eastern. We'll work on this. I'll save this and we'll work on this on Friday. Okay? Until then, remember to get creative today and tomorrow, the next day, until I see you again. Because it's easy. Just do it. Put your energy into something creative. Okay? See you soon. Bye for now.